We're doing password databases. So, I have some cool YouTube videos to show you about passwords and password cracking, which, if we have time, I'd be happy to show you. But for the time being, let's get XAMPP up and running. Just going to make myself a new folder. 14. There we go. So everybody, could you please go to your MySQL administration? PHP myadmin. We shall make a new database. New database. Now, to some extent, this should be the name of the application, right? In our case, at least. So, I don't know. Sometimes when I'm parodying Twitter or X, I call it Y, because it's one better than X, right? So yeah, let's make it that. Y. There we go. Maybe Y-O-Y-O-Y. Ha ha ha. Let's make a table within this. Credentials. So let's talk about what the credentials table needs. Shout it out. What does a credentials table need?
Way?
Well, yes, but like in terms of fields.
Oh, fields.
Username, password.
Username, password, anything else?
Maybe two-factor authentication, or like.
Ooh, yeah. Two-factor authentication is like interesting and cool, but beyond what we're doing here.
Okay.
Actually, you know how generally speaking that takes place. Two-factor authentication. Basically, like most people are using like an Azure API to do that work. That's like a third-party thing that you pay for, two-factor authentication. Now let's keep it simple, stupid, right?
User.
Username, password, anything else?
User.
User, as distinct from username.
Yeah, like
right?
The owner of the username. Right.
Sure, we can do that. Yeah.
Like an account number?
An account number, yes. A primary key. Yes.
Email?
Sure, let's not overcomplicate it though.
Okay.
Yeah. Generally, yes. So that's 4 fields. There we go. Let's make ID, auto-incrementing primary key. Let's make a username, varchar of size 32, that should be long enough. Password. Let's make this a varchar of 128, waha! So that nobody, even in the future, can crack it forever. And then name. sometimes have long names. There we go. Let us. I'll give everybody a moment to get that down, get that in. And let's click save. There we go. Oh, uh-oh. Ignore. Let's see if it worked anyway. Yeah, it worked anyway. Thank you. So, errors are only errors if they cause problems, right? So let's just put like 1 or 2 dummy entries in here. So, username, Moore, that's me. Password, geology rocks. That's a pun. Name. That is not my password. Just in case you were wondering, that's not my password. By the way, if your trick for getting around like the requirement for a symbol in your password is to stick an exclamation mark on the end of your password, that's like the first thing they try. So, yeah.
I did too. Guilty as charged.
If that hit a little close to home, then maybe take a look at your password list. There we go. Go! Browse. There you have it. User 1. Very good. So, in previous examples, we were mostly interested in just pulling data out of the database to display it. In this case, we are very much not pulling data out of the database to display it, right? So, what we essentially want to do is we want to do basically one if statement with this data, right? So, very good. Let's get connected. So you guys remember that last time we made the connect.db? I wonder if that was in a different room. I think that was in a different room. I wonder if I have my, I probably don't. Might have to redo it. Ah, there it is. Connect.php. That's the only thing that was in there. You can just copy paste it. Boom. Just to remind ourselves what this looks like. It's blank. All right. If you, on your own computer, still have connect.php from last class, you may import it into your new directory now. If not, I will show you where to get it. In the modules, way down. It's here. It's this bit. Copy that. Paste it. Thank you. Of course, this is PHP, so you must always have the infernal PHP opening tag and closing tag. There we have it.
And we're not dying, right?
Yes. Yeah, we're exiting 0. Let's change this to an echo, actually. No, if there's one piece of advice I offer to all of my students, it's try to avoid death. So, can anybody remember, and this is good review, what else needed to be modified about this code to connect to the database?
The variables in the PDO.
Yes, my ID, and my password. Now, these are different, right? Database name. In our case, I called it YOYOY. YOYOY. Can anybody remember what our login credentials are for XAMPP?
I believe the username is root and the password is blank.
Correct. Now, it's probably a good idea to take these values and externalize them as variables, right? Database is equal to YOYOY. User, or DB user is equal to root DB pass is equal to blank. And in fact, I'm just going to call this DB name, just to keep a consistent naming convention. All of these variables will also be available inside of your main program, so it makes sense to name them something that won't conflict with other names that you might want to use.
I noticed that the
Yeah.
DB name is YOYY, but all in caps. So will the case sensitivity be a problem or no?
I don't believe so. In theory, it's like in a URL, and URLs are not case sensitive. And if you take a look, although I put it in all caps myself, the name of the database as listed is in lowercase. So that was actually what I based my decision on. Is like, yeah, well, I can enter whatever I like, but what does the database think I called it, right? So far, so good? Good. Now, let's check out localhost and see how this works. Oh, wait. Well, yes, we can still test it. Localhost, 1080 in my case. Probably the same in yours. I called this 2025-07-14. Connect.php. No error message, so we connected successfully. Hooray. So now, did everybody get that far? All good? Good. So the next thing to do is we want to make a new file that uses the connection code. So make a new file, php require connect.php.
Can you just go back and connect that PHP for a second?
Sure thing. Good. Having an issue?
A bit.
Okay. Check your accent settings. Very strange.
Maybe is it just because it's like a mobile thing or?
It should be running on your own local machine. So access denied. Huh. Go to accent. Try shutting the server down and starting it back up. That's it. DB user. There you go. All right. Good. All right. All good? Moving on?
Yep.
Very good. So, require connect.php, close that off, save it up, call that. So, we now have a choice about how we're going to organize the architecture. Eventually, we'll be integrating all of this into an MVC architecture. So we're going to reorganize its architecture anyways. So let's start off thinking about things modularly. Let's make it so that every PHP script does a different thing. Right? So we will modularize at the level of the file, which is the way that PHP likes to think of itself. So this will be our index.php, our index page. We actually probably don't, now that I'm thinking about it, we don't have to actually connect to the database for the index page. So, we need a couple of forms, one to log in and one to register. We'll do the login form first because we have a user already, which we can test it on.
Okay.
So, make a nice, tasty little HTML form. Do it outside of the PHP block. Do it after it, actually. There we go. Form and form. Input type is equal to text. Name is equal to password. Input type is equal to password. Did you guys know that password is an input type?
Yep.
Awesome. Name, wait, did I say password? I meant user. Oh man. Programming. There we go. Input type text, username, input type password, name, password, input type submit, value, login. Very good. So, using this, action, pardon me. Have this form target login.php. There we go.
Quotes or no quotes?
Eh?
Around login? Do you quotes?
No. So the rule with quotes is you only need them around things that contain separator characters. Space, probably comma, vertical bar, colon, semicolon, stuff like that. I'm a little superstitious, about it. Even if it's not technically a separator, like I'll probably put it in. But otherwise, you don't need quotes.
Will they hurt it if you put them anyways?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want to be superstitious about quotes, go right ahead. Yes.
How about method? Do we?
Method? That's a good question. So what method do we use to send login credentials?
Post.
Post. Very good. Method equals post.
And no quotes. Oh, you just said it. No quotes either. Yeah.
not required. So, good. So let's load this up. There's our form. ASDF, login. Object not found. That's true. So, we need to make login.php. Login.php. There we go. So, there we go. Do you mind if we take a 5-minute break? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. I'll be back. I apologize.
Not that I remember.
No, I was just using the local host version, so I'm not using the CSV version.
So, have you covered the RESTful API stuff?
No.
Planning on doing it, or?
Yeah, that's like,
Try to copy.
it's like, that's like a layer that you put on top of an MVC architecture.
Okay.
So like, it's gonna, so we're gonna do like, this week we're gonna set up this example. Maybe we'll get a little bit into the beginnings of MVC on, I think Friday or Thursday, whatever our next class is. next week we'll talk about MVC, like architectural organization. The week after, we will integrate that with RESTful API, and then it'll be reviewing the exam.
So with the 2 weeks we have left, it might keep people on track, but I was wondering, do you need to have stuff blocked? Like, now everything's posted.
Yep.
Would you be able to post it all?
Like the teaching material?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. Yeah. Here.
It's just using it's just a one section, so it tells you exactly what's going on. It should work.
It says it's posted.
Well, the rest of you, that is, what about the last module with the one?
Full stack app. This is
Just not doing it?
This is just a bunch of empty files for a planned topic that never came into existence.
Okay.
So this is a bunch of section headings. So don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yes,
Mind looking at this real quick?
not at all.
Last class I did, what is wrong with this class in front of you? It's not gonna-
Something else?
Show me exam.
Why don't
Show me
we
the
do
browser
this?
and the error you get.
That's not the name of the data go file.
Oh, you see folder?
Folder?
Yeah.
Well, the folder is called DB files. And that's what I'm doing. Okay, that's cool. And then you want to load the next application. Okay. And so the page on the password. You want to insert this. You don't even need line 22. Line 22 is a different. You are making two queries.
But doesn't matter, like I am using this.
True, it doesn't matter. So you prepare the same with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Looks correct.
equal success, else failure, implement,
Browser.
Is it fine if we don't add everything here? Just add username and password. Or we need to add IDs, like name, ID, and ID. I need to be someone's
Show me to database.
like this.
Oh,
Do I need to add everything?
I posted the connect,
but my
connect.php last class. Pull that from the announcement so you can see if that one
Let's see what
works.
happens.
If not, it must be some problem with Excel. Try like closing out a sample right down and then just rebooting it. On your own laptop as well, like check the logs to see if it's complaining about a running instance of the server already. That sometimes messes things up. Okay, so shall we resume? So for login.php, we want to take the post parameters that we've been given, username and password, and check to see if they are in the database. This is our basic operation. So to check that, we first have to read them. So let's let you be filter input get or post, pardon me, name, username, filter sanitize special chars. By the way, don't use filter sanitize string. You guys get that lecture?
It's deprecated, even on VS Code.
Yeah, good. It's deprecated. So if there's filter sanitized string, right?
Yeah.
This is deprecated, where you shouldn't use this in PHP anymore. It's going to be removed in later versions. Do you know the difference between them, though? Why is this one deprecated while the other one is preserved? Yeah. Yeah, you had your hand up. Yeah.
Oh, I'm just gonna guess.
Go for it.
So a future sanitized string would only process alphabetic characters. It won't process like.
That's a good guess, but not correct. So the difference between sanitized string and sanitized special characters, sanitized string removes bad characters. So it attempts to pull the whole HTML tags that aren't supposed to be there, pull them right out, right? Special chars substitutes control characters for deactivated ones,
Oh,
right? So basically the difference is, if you try to put a script attack through sanitized string, the actual, you'll get just, alert, hi, you got hacked. Whereas if you use sanitized special chars, you'll get script tag, alert, hi, you got hacked, and script tag. The script tags will still be in the string. That's the difference between the two. Don't ask me why they're deprecating it or why they prefer the other one, prefer that one. I couldn't tell you, but don't use this one because it's being deprecated. Okie dokie. Sanitized special chars. That's correct. Password key. There we go. So, we now need to access the database in order to pull the user's credentials from the database if they exist there. So let's get the SQL query in there. So, what sort of query do we use when we're trying to read information from a database? Select. Very good. Now, here's the question. This is like security stuff, right?
yeah.
A good principle in security is to not pass around more data than is necessary, right? For example, if this packet gets intercepted between the database and your Apache server, if it's just the password or just the username or just one piece of data, then it's just one piece of data. You can't tell from that packet a username password combination. And it's much more useful to have a username password combination than just a username or a password. So, when we ask for data from the database, we should be as restrictive as possible. This is also good policy for minimizing the amount of data that your server has to deal with, right? So, how much data is required to see that these two variables in PHP exist as a pair in the database?
Select username, password from yo.
Well,
Because
something
that's,
like this.
yeah, that's the name of the columns, username, password. Yeah, with the backticks. if that
Oh,
helps.
yeah. Backticks. Ah, goodness. There we go. So, this hides some information. But, this query will generate, as its response, a list of every username password combination in the whole database and return that.
Okay, where ID?
Where, but let's talk about where, right? Where what?
Where ID equals what?
Do we know the ID number of the user we're trying to look up?
No.
What do we know?
Username?
We know the username and we know the
Oh, we
password.
know his name. So where name equals something.
Well, on the login screen, we don't actually know the name either, right? The name associated with the account. We only know username and password. So we have to use one of the two of those,
Oh,
right? Now, does it make sense to look up an user registration entry by username or password?
username.
Username. But do you know why?
Oh, security.
Yes?
Multiple people can have the same password?
Multiple people can have the same password,
Oh,
right?
Okay.
It's not restricted. Usernames must be unique,
oh.
right? There we go. So, where username is equal to thingy. Very good. I would also say that since the username that we are testing is going to be the same one going in as coming out, do we need that reported? Probably not, right? We already know it. So, we can make this a little bit more restrictive. Select password from credentials where username is equal to the thing that we entered. Okay. So far so good. I don't recommend doing this in production code, but let's code up this query and just see if we can get the password out of the database. So, at dbh prepare query. That will produce a statement object. Statement execute. Looking up the username. So do you know why you can't have a constraint that people's passwords can't be the same?
Come again? You can't have.
So,
You can
Um,
guess somebody's password?
yeah, exactly. So, although usernames are unique, and ideally we would have the unique constraint set in our database, although we didn't this time, for passwords, you can't do that because imagine the position of someone who's trying to create a new account. It's like, okay, here's my username, here's my password. Cannot use password already in database as the error message that comes back. That gives way too much information to, a potential hacker. There is at least one user in this database who has that password, right? So passwords, you must allow them to be non-unique. Make sense?
Can't you just change the error message?
I mean, yeah, you could phrase it less obviously,
Yeah.
but like, you're trying to fool the Russians. Are you going to fool the Russians by just renaming the error message? Right? It's all about attack surface, right? The less information you give, the less ability they have to use it against you. So,
and then echo. Just
So, response, right? That'll give us whether that statement went through.
Mhm.
If response is true, the statement object will contain the data.
And
Echo statement fetch. Well, we're only expecting at maximum one entry anyways, right?
yeah, so
Because, yeah, so fetch will probably do. Fetch PDO colon fetch underscore a sock. There we go.
yeah.
Associative array.
Mhm.
And then JSON encode that, as I'm sure we're all very familiar with doing by now, and send that off to the client. Again, I don't recommend this in production code. Reload. Now, I just have to remember what I put in here. Moor and geology rocks. Okay. Moor, geology rocks. Undefined variable. Uh-oh. What did I forget?
Name?
Require.
Yeah, I forgot to require the connection. There we go. Let's try that again. Parse error. Ooh,
Semicolon.
gets me every time. There we go. Password geology rocks. Okay. So far so good. We have pulled information from the server. I will reiterate. Because the PHP script is executed server-side, no PHP code makes it through to the client. So the stuff we do here is a secret, right? Anything that's echoed is not a secret, but so long as it stays in here, it's secure. So instead of doing that, we want to see if the password they gave us matches the one in the database. If the password received is equal to statement fetch that thing at password, you could break that out into its own statement if you wanted to. Echo login successful. Login successful. Whereas, if I do something that's not in the database, not in DB, login, I get nothing. I get nothing because I didn't put an else branch in. Echo login not successful. You scallywag. There we go. Question?
Yeah, I have. Not able to find that.
So see, that would be an error you would get if you used that one,
Yeah.
right? Maybe save it?
It's not showing this side. This as well.
Yeah. Save it. Go to your browser.
Sorry.
Reload. Try shutting down Xampp and opening it up again. Like stopping the servers and then starting them again. Okay, good, 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 good. Maybe you're in a different directory than you think you're in.
Yeah, once, but since the connection kind of stays that way. So
Yeah. You're in DB, not DB pass, I think. Maybe?
Did you change the other ones? I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm trying to catch up with this.
Where's insert.php then?
No, it's another, I just.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. Weird. Oh! I think VS Code has done you dirty.
Oh,
So copy all of this code that you've modified into, just copy it, open that file up and note, here. Oh, I hate VS Code. Open with, is that the file you were working on?
Oh, is this adding an account? Yeah.
Yeah.
You clicked on.
So
Go.
okay, that might have been the problem you were having too. So you may be wondering why I use Notepad++ and not VS Code. It's because there is a bug with VS Code when you load it from my Mohawk, like the Mohawk apps. It will lose like connection, and when it does that, it just stops saving files. It looks like it's saving files, but it isn't actually saving the files. So if you're in that situation, copy the contents of your file, open the file up in something else like Notepad, paste it in, save it, see if it works. Yes?
My thing isn't, I'm submitting my, it's just not showing me.
Show me your code.
I used it to
Go back. Check the network traffic. Response is empty, eh? Go back. Response must not be true then. Try putting a branch in there to see if the
Like another, oh, I'll see.
yeah. Your SQL query might have a syntax error. So, to check to see if your SQL query went through, you can do something like this.
It did echo down.
It did that? Yeah, so double check this line. Okay, so, okie dokie. So we've got logging in, we've got, at the moment, I'm not sure you could call this a login system. All we're doing is we're checking to see if the user can provide us a pair that exists in the database, right? So this must be combined with a session, right? If a login system were not combined with a session, you would have to provide your login credentials every time you sent a request to the server. Obviously ridiculous. So we need to start a session. But the question is how? So an approach that I advocate for, it's not the only approach, but it's the one I advocate for. Intuitively, you would think I should create a session when the user logs in, right? But much of the time, this isn't how things are done in practice. in practice, what you see a lot happening, as soon as the user connects, that starts the session. The effect of logging in is to validate the session. So the session stores a session variable that tells us, is this a logged in user or not? And then different privileges can be accessed from there. Does that make sense? So, on our index page, it also makes coding it up a little bit simpler as well. So, on our input page, our index page, session start. There we go. This means that in the login page, we will also have to start the session. Session underscore start. And now, when we log in, we can say session at logged in is equal to true. This authenticates the session. The server now can keep track of a user and say, okay, with you, I remember, I received a login valid login credential. The session does not have to keep track of what the user's password was. The less you copy that around, the better. However, it's also common to store the username in there. Session username is equal to you. Make sense? So far, so good? Good. Does that make sense? The reason you would do that?
Just one more time.
Right. So if we set up a session immediately when the user connects, right? Not only does it make the code a bit simpler, we can use a field inside of the session to determine whether or not they're logged in. If we created the session when they logged in, right? Which we can do that. It gets a little trickier when we talk about logging out, right? When we log out, we have to destroy the session, right? Now, you remember how we had that whole thing about how you shouldn't really use session destroy, right? So, you shouldn't really destroy sessions. You shouldn't destroy entries in the session database because of concurrency and other factors, right? So, you know, log out should mean log out. If you log in to create the session, you should log out and destroy it. But if you shouldn't destroy a session, then your other option is this. Does that make sense? Okay. So, yeah. Good. So, now, we have the ability to log in. We should modify our index page so that something different is presented when we're logged in, right? A person who is logged in should never see a login page. That's good user design. So let's go back to our index page, and we're going to do a little bit of the whole PHP HTML mix-up thing. So if session at logged in we will show something else. Wait, this one, that one, else. You can even put these on the one line if you want. Makes it a little easier to copy and paste. So, am I confusing myself? I might be confusing myself. That one, yeah, I got them backwards, yeah. PHP, there we go. So, you guys recall that you can mix HTML and PHP together like this? Good. So, this top one is for the logged in user. This bottom one is for the not so logged in user. So, we could say something like, welcome. Session at user. I hope you're having a great day. It might have been username. Let me check to see what that was. Yeah. See, this is why, like, if you were a professional, unlike myself, if you were a professional coder, you would take your session variables and you would write them all down on a piece of paper and put that up in your work area so that you could refer to things without looking through files to find out what things are called. And like, in actual fact, if you are a professional working in a company and you're working on if you're doing a project like this with people, the state of the session is like, that's something that's agreed upon between people. It's almost like a contract, right? So, good, all right. Let's test her out. Nick. No, what was it? Moore, there we go. My password is Geology Rocks. Login successful. There we go. Very good. But we are seeing the login page. We're not seeing the index page anymore. Anybody have any idea how we might fix that? So, after we have a successful login, we're not viewing the index page anymore, right? We're viewing the login page. How do we view the login page?
Should we include login.php?
After
Oh, really?
login.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? These things, in PHP, these do not work the same way that they do in other languages. All right? In, like, Java, for instance, you have a bunch of things that look similar to that. You collect them all up at the top of the file, right? And those are your imports. Yay! But the difference is, Java is importing a bunch of definitions, which you may or may not use. This is in-place code substitution, my friends. It takes the contents of that file and plunks it down inside of your file at the place that statement resides. So, we can do that with other things too. For example, down here, include index.php. It feels weird and wrong to put an include statement at the bottom of a file. But watch the effect. Ah, there it is. The session has already started ignoring. Oh yes. So the thing it's complaining about right there is like in the index file we have a session started. Here we have a session start because it's literally taking index.php and copy pasting it here. We have session start twice, right? So we could say something like, if not is set session. That will probably fix that. Yeah, it does. Question?
Why did we start 2 sessions in the first place?
Because this program now has multiple entry points, right? So, if we start execution by calling login.php, we need that session available, so we have to open it. If we start this interaction by calling index.php, we need that session available, so we have to open it. We need it in both cases, right? But you may be saying to yourself, this feels kind of clunky, right? This is the problem that MVC architecture solves, right? But we're not there yet, right? I'm working us up to MVC, and part of the reason for this example is like clunky things we have to do here, we're going to fix with good architecture in a week.
I still don't get this one because to me,
You
the
mean
session,
this?
we could start this session once the user logs in successfully.
So it's giving me a yeah.
So that the system could include the index of each.
So
basically,
yeah.
this part is the first step.
Not once we click login. When we click login, we activate login.php, not index.php.
Yeah, but the
Right.
login could be successful or not.
Yes, that's right. But this index has been written for both logged in and non-logged in users, right?
Oh.
So-
Okay. I see what you mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now.
Again, the path here like goes around and through, and we're kind of like we're having to follow paths through a little bit of like these weird little interstices, and this is primarily because we haven't introduced MVC architecture yet. But I wanted to show you what like developing in native PHP without it looks like. So, I realize that class is 7 minutes to its terminus, but logging out is stupid easy. So let's do that. So on our index page, let's put a little button in. I'll put it inside a form. Action is equal to logout.php. The method doesn't matter because we're not sending any data. Form, input type is equal to button, or not button, submit. Value is equal to log out. That's all that form requires. Taking a look at how that renders, log out. Object not found. So, please create a new PHP script. Call it logout.php.
Just go to the bathroom.
Sorry. Logout.php. Logging out is clearing the session. Not destroying it, but deleting the data inside of it. In order to do that, we need to start the session. Session underscore start. There we go. And then session underscore unset. There we go. And then include index.php. Make sense? So in effect, if we click logout, undefined index, logged in, that's true. So let me just go back, we'll fix that bug. So what it's complaining about is that logged in no longer exists as a variable, which is true. The way that you guard against that is the following, one of the ways. If is set session at logged in and session at logged in is true. It's kind of never false, but you know, in theory you could just use is set instead, but this is like slightly more, this is like future proof to an extent if some novice developer decides to go in and say, oh, logged in, then set that to false, now you're not logged in anymore. This won't break in that case. So, yes. There you go, error goes away. If I try fake credentials, login not successful, I'm back here. If my login credentials are good, here we are. Log out. Yes.
I'm still getting the SQL thing.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, at this point, maybe you should. I'm about to like post my code. See if my code will work.
Is it maybe, can you see anything wrong with the database itself? I'm using SYK1234.
Why Witter? Is that the same name you're
Yeah,
using
yeah.
for your? Show me. Connect. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
database user. That'll do it. So, any questions? Yes.
Index, go to the index thing. What's the difference between the if statement, like the two expressions on our if statement and on the set? They're the same thing.
So this construction still works if you're looking for something like 7, right? So generally, like the session superglobal is a superglobal array. If it's missing basically, if you try to read this thing without checking to see if it's there first, you will run into an error, this thing doesn't exist, as I did. This expression is now using short circuit evaluation. If this comes out false, this is not executed. So it's like I could build this in as an if statement above. This is slightly more compact, right? So I'm just checking to see if the session variable exists. If so, I'm using it.
Okay, so let me just rephrase.
Sure.
So the first one, if is set. So we're saying if, okay, like you said, if there's a session variable,
Yep.
right, logged in, and then the second expression is saying if that variable has the value inside it,
Has the value true.
or has the value true.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? So it's like separating out the check to see if the thing exists for the check to see what the value inside of it is.
Oh.
Those are two different phrases now.
And then get rid of the data.
Okay.
Any other questions? Points of clarification? All right, well, thank you very much for your time and attention, folks. We will resume. Is it Friday we've got this class? Thursday? Okay, Thursday it is then. If everybody said Friday, I would probably show up for Friday. All right.